Not all archaeology is done in deserts and places that are hot and dry. Archaeology can happen in many different places. At the Carnegie Museum of Natural History in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I work, we have lots of artifacts from all over the world. In the same hall where this polar bear taxidermy mount is located, which is about the Arctic and the people and the animals that live there, we have lots of artifacts from different time periods. Some are large, some are small. Every once in a while, I like to pick out something that I've barely noticed before and take a closer look at it and see if I can learn more about what's behind it, what story, what information we might know about it. The piece I picked out the other day is this little ivory piece. It's about 14 inches long, about 2 inches wide, not more than an inch or so high, and it is a cribbage board that was carved out of ivory, probably a walrus tusk. And it has an interesting history. You can see on it some dates. There's 1910 and 1912. And what we believe we know about this is that it was created by someone on board a whaling ship called the A.T. Gifford during the time 1910 to 1912, where we do know that the A.T. Gifford, on one of its whaling expeditions in the Arctic, became trapped in the ice for those 2 years. So we think that someone during that time carved this walrus ivory into a cribbage board. The whaling ship that this person was on, called the A.T. Gifford, is a kind of ship called a schooner-rigged whaling ship. Here's a picture of not the A.T. Gifford, but also a schooner-rigged ship called the Regina Maris. It's a much more contemporary ship, but the shape and the kind of rigging would have been the same. This photo is not one that I took. I took the other photos. This was taken by Lucas Riebling with a Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike 3.0 license. If you take a little bit closer look at one end of this ivory piece, what we see is a very remarkably detailed carved human face. Could it have been the person who carved it, or someone that he knew, or someone he gave it to? It appears to be a man with a beard and a mustache. He has a high forehead, long hair down the side of his head. It's also the lid to the cribbage board. It hinges open, it slides open, slides up to reveal the hollow space inside the walrus tusk where I can imagine that the cribbage pieces might have been stored. This is some of the label copy that goes along with this ivory piece. It talks about the A.T. Gifford. It also talks about a scene further along the tusk that I haven't shown you yet, but I will, that shows an Inuit or Eskimo hunter creeping along the ice toward a seal that's coming up to its breathing hole. Here's the scene. Here is the man. Perhaps this is an Inuit man that the artist observed. Maybe it could be that it was himself, and he's holding some kind of rifle or maybe even a harpoon. And then to the right is a seal that I think has a remarkably human-looking head on it, and then right beside the head is a round circle with a hole in the middle that I think probably is to depict the breathing hole that the seal is coming up to in this little hunting scene here. I think it's really interesting to think about having an artifact that's available for people to see that was created by one person during an amazing time, being trapped in the ice for 2 years in the early 1900s on a ship where there wouldn't have been phones or other kinds of communication as we have to be able to talk to people in the modern world. But yet we have this very interesting piece that is part of his experience during that, what must have been an interesting time to try to survive.